Hello, everybody, and welcome. This is Lessons for Full Spectrum Humans. It's the second half of 2017, and we've got the lesson today is all about level 1, basics of the merkaba, and level 2, the advanced understanding of merkaba, and how basically what we're talking about is how to pop forward into the next dimension. So when I talk about, sorry, I'm ducking off camera too to get my little sculptures. When I'm talking about popping forward into the next dimension, what I'm talking about is going from this ordinarily donut-shaped or toroidal energy field into this flying rainbow lasagna shape, which is what happens when we take this and we make it jump up and down very fast in a higher dimensional state. So before I get to that, let's talk about what is the merkaba and how is it applied. So, and before I talk about that, because the merkaba is a six-sided figure, I want to talk about the flower of life. So this is part of the beginning, like there's a lot of partial information which has been very distorted about the flower of life. So this is a very good starting point. When you look at this donut-shaped energy field, you can see we've got these 4 football shapes, these lobes, 1, 2, 3, 4. But since you're looking at it on a flat screen, it's kind of a cross-section. We know that there's a half in the back that we're not seeing. So now let me show you that this is this orange sculpture. This is the negative space. Negative not meaning bad or wrong or evil or any malevolence or anything like that. This is the shape of the space. Like if you took what's in your coffee cup, where the coffee goes is the negative space. So this is the shape of the negative space that's in that yellow sculpture. And you can see behind me, this is what I call the map of time. These are many, many different time vortexes or vortices that are all joined together according to this cosmic musical score. And you can see that this stuff back here is a cross section of this, because look, my hands are holding on to something in the back. So, and of course, this isn't perfectly arranged. Just, I made it out of like Play-Doh. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's what we've got, and those are those 4 lobed shapes. What we've actually got is 8, because I've got 5, 6, 7, 8. And these shapes aren't static. They're part of a dynamic motion of energy movement. So part of it is each one of these footballs is twirling around like this, but also all of these footballs are twirling around in a circle, and these 4 points connecting together, that makes one of those upper vortex shapes, this upper cone-shaped vortex, all right? So these are all whirling and twirling around. And I bring this shape up because there's this critical integument between understanding how this 8-lobed shape fits in with 6-lobed shapes and hexagons. And I have a piece of artwork to show you too. So first I'm going to show you with the sculpture, then I'll show you with the flat artwork. So flower of life. If I hold this shape in just the right way, according up to the camera, and the camera takes away the binocular vision and turns it into a monocular vision. Binocular from, because we have most people have 2 eyes, and it turns it into a monocular vision. So now what you see around here is basically the flower of life. I'm going to count off the petals. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that's usually what we see. This has been popularized in the time that I've been here as Aurora, like the past 16 years. I've watched the flower of life go from some secret esoteric knowledge to something that is laser printed on coffee cups and on yoga pants and popularized in every single different way. But what it mostly shows is a flat line drawing that is a simplification of the information contained within this shape. Because you all now in this class can see that this shape also has this football. Oops, that's sticking forward to the camera. Look, there's a football there. And there's also this football that I'm holding onto in the back that makes 7 and 8. This is an 8-lobed shape. So let me go now to a little, I'm squinting and scrolling as I grab my photos because I've got everything meticulously arranged. Hold on a minute here. Okay, and this is not my original image that I am sharing with you. However, it's an effective diagram that shows you this is mitosis, when cells split, and I got to grab a color that you can actually see. All right, this is a cell that's been fertilized over here, and then it begins to, oh, and let me make sure everyone is muted. Thank you very much, just muting everyone on up. When it begins to divide, here's the first division, divides again, and you can see as it begins to divide, it creates this mass of spheres, and the spheres all fit together. And the way that the spheres fit together, if you were to draw cut a cross section through them, you see this right down here. This is the flower of life pattern that happens. It's a cross section and a flattening of something that is spherical. So, and we're going to talk a little bit about this type of visual math. If I have this semicircle, here, let me draw it in a better place. This semicircle here plus this semicircle here equals a flat line. And I'm going to do it again because it's like saying if we have half of a force that is sticking up and half of a force that is sticking down, they neutralize each other and they just end up making a line. So what you end up having in the center of this is this 8-lobed shape that is made out of the membranes, and the way that they fit together, they collapse in the middle. Okay, I'm not sure if that even made sense. Let me grab more images because I think sometimes that the pictures just are even better than my flappy moving mouth parts. Okay, all right, I got a bunch of different things to show you here. So, and we're gonna also get into how this relates to the diamond body. So first of all, these are my two original drawings and sketches here. This is what I'm talking about when I talk about the merkaba. So merkaba literally means light body vessel. This is information that comes to us from the sophisticated antediluvian, meaning pre-flood, worldwide culture that was on Earth, you know, basically before our genes were harmed and diminished, before our connection to higher dimensional, less dense realms was diminished, you know, our intelligence was lowered, all of this. This was like the basics of what you learned as a kindergartner. This is anatomy also. If I can like stress, if I can give you one point to really emphasize, this is anatomy. I want to say that this is not some false overlay, some fake thing, because I know that in this time and place, first of all, everybody is very, oh, Tech's got a question or something like that. Oh, that's very interesting. Okay, I've never seen that before. A raised hand, that is cool. Let me just keep going for the moment. That everybody's super about the merkaba, about things being co-opted. So because this has been taken as a symbol that is like this, and it's been used as not only a symbol for Judaism, a particular religion, it's been used as a political symbol for Zionism and the modern day state of Israel. So I understand why a lot of people, this is a heavily loaded symbol over here. However, it comes from this actual piece of your body. This is like a structure around your body. So also, we're going through this incredible solar wind, or let's say energy that has been ejected from our sun that is just about to reach us this weekend, and that is part of why I'm sharing this information right now, because this is a critical infrastructure. That's a good way of putting it, like a very important part of your anatomy to know about. This is a protective shield, and this is also how you send out your wish list to the cosmos, and it is also how you navigate into higher dimensional, less dense realms. So first of all, this star tetrahedron is also not a flat, static, it's not a flat shape, and it is not a static shape. And every one of these straight lines, like I'm highlighting a straight line here, what I was trying to say before is that I want you to consider that as the end result of one line that went up like this, plus one line that went down like that. And that when those two membranes met, they collapsed together and they made this straight line in the middle. Yeah, so Joel is asking me if I've heard of the work of Drunvalo Melchizedek. Yes, I would say that he is the person in our modern era who has recently popularized the understanding of the flower of life and the merkaba. And I'm not casting aspersions upon him. I'm trying to say that there's a very limited viewpoint of what the flower of life is that's intentional, not necessarily from him, but let's say in the New Age community. It's kind of like this. I gotta drink some water too while I'm talking so much. The grandmother's strudel recipe. Let me drink. Okay, some grandmothers, they're like, I am a nice, kindly grandmother. I'm going to give you my strudel recipe and tell you all about how to do it so that when I'm not here anymore, you can have that recipe. And some grandmothers are like, yeah, sure, here's the family strudel recipe. It's, you know, just a dash of this and a hint of this, and you throw this in, you just whip it all up. And that version of the recipe, like, you're never going to make grandmother's strudel. That pretty much means that she is keeping it as her own proprietary secret. She doesn't want you to make strudel in the way that she could. Well, that's like this information with the merkaba. This is the like interdimensional strudel, okay? And it's way more than just a dash of this and a hint of that. It actually requires a lot of inner understanding and self-cultivation in order to do it correctly. And it's hugely empowering when you do it, just like the strudel is very delicious when you actually do it right. So all of the information that has been dropped out about this, like edited out, that's meant to keep people in a disempowered state. So in this broadcast and the level 2 stuff, what I'm going to do is give you everything you need to not be in a disempowered state. So let's go for the basics. Merkaba means light body vessel. This can be used in order to protect your body, in order to send out your wish list to the cosmos, and in order to travel interdimensionally. So protection, the very first parts of this are creating this just like an immune system for your body. And creating it means it is your willpower, your energy, your heart, your intellect, and your time body. And like you could call your time body your magnetic presence, or what moves you through time, that you begin to do this through visualizing. And in the lesson that I did all about your inner eye and your imagination and your pineal gland, I spoke about how that is not just a receiver, but it is a transceiver. It transmits too, and you're literally broadcasting reality, painting a picture with your mind with your inner eye. So you use your inner eye to envision this shape around you. So first of all, if you were a malevolent overlord, you would not want people to know about that. You would not want people to be able to effectively protect themselves from, let's say unwanted energy fields that are coming inside of you. We live in this energy field soup right now. It's really horrible. It's very, very difficult to bear. It's why I wear the shungai, do everything I possibly can in order to keep my energy field, which is like your immune system. Imagine that you have this protective field that is all around you, that when something that shouldn't be there wants to come in here, like this green arrow wants to come in, it can't come in, just like pathogens can't come into your body. So that's the very first part of it. And it is a simple visualization, an inner visualization. And also, okay, everybody's got different ways of doing this. I am an art teacher that says, this is the way that I do it. I'm not going to make you do it in your own way. But what I begin with is sitting in this cross-legged position, or if you can't do that, sit in a chair that is comfortable. And I think of, because when you're sitting in this cross-legged position, the way that the thighs are, they're shaped like a V, with your spine is at the corner of the V. So that is what I start with. I start with this, I'm trying to move this around so that I can draw effectively. With these two lines, can I draw there? There, that green line back there and that green line back there. Those kind of go behind the person's back, and then it's easy enough to connect them together and make a line in front of you. That's pretty much like connecting your knees together. And then it's easy enough to envision all of those things coming up and meeting at a point up above your head. And this, let's not call it male and female. Like, let's not even get into genders. It's just too confusing at this point. This upward pointing pyramid or tetrahedron is the active as opposed to the receptive. And this whole entire shape is meant to be a balance of giving and receiving, of sending out and taking in. So this is half of what the pyramid structure is. Half of it is sending out information. Specifically, this is the specifics of what you want when you make your wish list. So again, protection is one thing, requests to the cosmos are another thing. So the other tetrahedron is this one that is right here, and it is downward pointing. And this vertex sticks out from the heart. And this is the same for everybody who uses this. And I can't get my pen to go all the way down there, but you see it points downward. And this one is the receptive pyramid. And it is like a chalice or a cup that energy or water or something can flow into and can be held within. And the whole idea is that in creating this visualization, first you do a protection around yourself. You say, this is my energy field, nothing else, no pathogens are allowed to come in. I'm doing this. I'm a part of the time field. I'm allowed to navigate the time field effectively. And then you can put your requests out. So in this green, let's change back to green. In this green pyramid, you can be very, very specific. You can say, if we use dessert as the example, I want a specific ice cream flavor in my blue dish on Tuesday. And then, you begin that. It's like pressing run on a program. And then you can also put energy into this receptive pyramid, because you can say, I want something that's cold. I want something that's creamy. I want something that's celebratory. I want something that feels good when I eat it and, cools me down on a hot summer day. And you can see, so one set of requests is very, very specific, analytical, maybe even literal. And one set of requests has to do with feelings or things that might be intuitions or things that might be undefined. And then you press go on that aspect of the pyramid. And the way that you press go is by getting these two counter rotate. And then once you get that going, you have essentially co-created with the cosmos a program for reality. So first of all, when I do this motion with my hands, sometimes I do that motion literally in order to get it going. Sometimes I just use my imagination to envision it. So here's the difference. I'm going to ask everyone now, just sit quietly where you are watching this, but imagine moving your arm up and down, all right? You just used your imagination body in order to move your arm up and down. Joelle, I'll answer that question. And now move your physical arm up and down, move your physical arm up and down. So that is the difference. You can just do this as a mental exercise. You can do this as a physical exercise. Joelle asks, does it matter which direction they spin? Yes, it matters. And I'm not going to dictate to other people which direction they should go. I would say do it in the way that feels right to you. So what I do is the one that sticks out from my heart, that is the receptive pyramid, I begin spinning around to the left. I do my spin like this. Left one starts spinning around like that, and that's roughly around shoulder height. And then the one that sticks out from the base of my spine, I get spinning around to the right. This is how I hold my paintbrush, and I get my various fields spinning. So this is also like, I don't know if you have this capacity. It's like imagining music. If you can think of your favorite song, like whatever it is, without actually putting it on your headphones, begin to play that music in your head. This is auditory, the same version of using your pineal gland or your inner eye instead of doing a visualization. It's like doing a sonic imagining of this. So that aspect of self is the aspect of self that we are using to create this energy field. And just like anything, it takes time to practice and become a virtuoso. It's not necessarily achieved overnight. So if I ask you, like, what's Stairway to Heaven, whatever's your favorite song, if you can imagine it and think about it right now, you can hear those first few notes. That's because you've listened to that song 17,000 times. So it is a pattern that is ingrained in you, and it is possible to create the merkaba also like a pattern that is so ingrained in you through practice that it is something that you can just imagine that quickly. So I'm trying to say to everyone, it is a beginning practice, and the better that you get at it, the more adept you become. So don't be concerned if you're not a violin virtuoso on the first day, that's okay. And that this is all cumulative knowledge, like a foundation that you build, and then the next thing on top, on top, on top. Because I have to tell you all sorts of things about the shape of carbon and how that relates to the shape of a diamond. So first we did the flower of life shape is not actually a flat line drawing. It is actually a cross section of spheres that intersect, and it is based on this 8-lobed shape. I know I'm doing tons of stuff here. I'm like jumping all over, but it's very essential that we do this. Squinting and scrolling to this that I've prepared for today. This painting here, this painting here. Just start with that. Okay. So this is a painting that I did. Very few of my paintings contain straight lines. Mostly I'm working all with these, curved lines and the ones that you see behind me. But this is one that I did a couple of years ago. And let me see if I can get, I don't know if I can get the pencil to work. No, it's not working. I try to get there we go. Sometimes this pencil doesn't work exactly easily. Here we go. Get this thing, get this thing. So all of this in order for me to try to show you the bridge between squares and hexagons. That's the name of this art piece. And you can see, I'm highlighting in black here, this is a hexagon. Hexagon is a 6-sided shape. So hexagons and 6-sided shapes and 60-degree angles. These are 60-degree angles. These are what the building blocks of the physical world. And our body is not just made of physical cellular structure, it's made of physical cellular structure that's entwined with time. So this orange thing over here, this is the shape of time. And the question is, how do we integrate our physical cellular structure with our time body? And the answer is by perception, by the same way that we change our perception. Let's see, I need to have a little place where I can clear everything out. I need to have a place where I can draw. And okay, and I'll tell you more about this painting too. But before I do that, let me draw this. Let's say that this is a window or like a wall or something like that, all right? Before the invention of perspective, and that was roughly around, the Renaissance, the 13, 14, 1500s. Before the invention of perspective, the system of perception of the human social cultural world was to look at a flat object like a flat object, you're looking at something that is just a surface. Now we take this for granted because every single one of you who is watching this video right now, you're watching it on a flat surface. So we take it for granted that you're not just looking at the surface, that you're looking into it like it's a window. We have been culturally programmed to presume the structure of perspective. So in art school, this is 1 point perspective. I'm making a point back there, and that's the vanishing point. And then all of these lines go to the vanishing point, and this is the horizon. So let's say I just, here's some mountains, here's the sun in the background, and I just drew a little road going into the distance. That's like, this is, if I showed you that, if I showed you this little drawing that I just made over here, this little sketch, you'd be like, oh, Aurora, I understand and interpret that as the picture of a road going into a distance, and I see the distant horizon, the sun, and the sky. That's because we've all been trained to use our system of perception to add an additional dimension to something that is flat. Something that is flat. But if I draw this thing over here, you're going to say, oh, that's a piece of paper. That's like a flat piece of paper. No, technically, that is a trapezoid. It is a flat trapezoid. But your system of interpretation is turning it into a piece of paper. Hey, look, now I'm turning it into a rectangle. Sorry, I'm turning it into a rectangle. I'm adding more lines. I'm turning it into a rectangle. Because we have been taught to perceive things and to, the word is interpret the raw data that's being sent to our senses as being a higher sophisticated level than what people were taught to look at hundreds or thousands of years ago. This is the invention of perspective. And artists use tips of the trade in order to make things make a flat painting look like it's an actual window that you can look through. And some artists are really good. I'm just drinking some water here. Some artists are really good. They can make it look like it's an actual table that an actual vase of flowers is sitting upon. I'm drinking. Well, in the time that perspective was invented hundreds of years ago, that was a magical activity. The idea that you could make it look like there's an actual table, but it's only painted on a flat thing, and there's actual things in that painting, that was quite amazing to the people that lived at that time. Okay, all of this, yeah, tech is saying DaVinci perspective. DaVinci is one of the very first people that began to, artists and kind of great thinkers, who began to experiment with and popularize perspective. And people actually had to be taught to look here. Let me bring up another photo, because I think this will also share very well, because this is all about, guys, and what I'm trying to say is that this is not some kind of a secret that is being held like, you know, anybody, and it's not some kind of a secret. It is a challenge of perception. Like, all of this can be unlocked. All of this interdimensional travel and new ways of doing things, new ways of experiencing things can all be had, but it's a question of creating a new cognitive framework in order to do it. So in some ways, it's not like in some ways, information is being kept from humanity, but in some ways, it is the limitations of perception that are preventing humanity from really reaching these higher levels. So I'm here like, let's do yoga of the perception. Let's stretch and figure out what this is. Let me show you this. This is a very famous, I didn't draw this. This is a well-known optical illusion, where depending upon how you look at and interpret this basic little line drawing, it can either look like, I'm going to ruin it for you or whatever, but let's just do this. It can either be an old woman or it can be a young woman. So if I highlight the nose of the old woman, here's the old woman and here's her mouth, right? But like, now you can change your perception. You can change. You can say, oh, it's actually a young woman. Here's her jawline and here's her nose and her eyelash sticking out. And the flip-flop between those two interpretations, that is your system of perception. I want everybody now to experiment with that flip-flopping of the system of interpretation. It can be a young woman, it can be an old woman. This is the whole idea, that this is how we get into the next highest dimension, all right? So let me stop this. Let me now go to my paper models. I know I'm like all over the place with all my different models here, and thank you for bearing with me. And I know I jump around a lot in the presentation, but I'm trying to do a lot. Okay, so I said before that these are equilateral triangles. That means that they're equal on all sides. Every side is the same length, and every side has the same angle. And all of these angles have to be 60-degree angles, but they all add up to 180 degrees, which is what the interior of angles of a triangle must add up to. So these are 4 equilateral triangles, and I actually have a set of 2 of them. And this is how we make a tetrahedron, which is one type of pyramid. So just a picture's worth 1,000 words. I just folded that around. So we have 3 sides, and then this one is the 4th side on the bottom. So what we have right now is a tetrahedron. Every side is equal, all angles are equal. And now I fiddle with this one, seeing if I can do them both at the same time. So I hold this up because what I showed you before was a flat line drawing that you used your system of interpretation to interpret as an actual shape. But this is what the shapes are actually shaped like. So here, this is the one that sticks forward from your heart. This one sticks out roughly at the level of the chest. And this is the one that you have in front of your face. Your face looks through a window. This is the flat side here. And this part sticks out behind your back. And also, okay, this is a dynamic shape that is, let me hold this properly. It's so hard to talk and do this at the same time. There we go. We hold this like this. It's a dynamic shape that is created by energy whirling and twirling according to your willpower. This is the receptive one. This is the active one. When you put your energy and wishes into this and get it spinning, and energy and wishes into this and get it spinning, you then are having a collaboration with the cosmos. And this is meant to be divine cosmic lovemaking, just like when you do the flying rainbow lasagna dance. Nobody is strong-arming anybody else. This is all consensual. This is not taking anything that is not yours to take, but this is also taking responsibility for what you create. Okay, so I will tell now a brief anecdote without incriminating anyone. Back when I lived in Woodstock and I was just starting to learn about the merkaba and experiment with it in my life, and I was a struggling artist, and at one point I was just like, I'm just going to sit in my merkaba and I'm just going to envision a pile of money falling in my lap, like literal cash falling in my lap. So I did that, and I spun my merkaba, and then literally that day a friend knocked on the door, and my friend was like, hey, can you just hold on to this suitcase for me for a few days? And I was like, yeah, sure. And after my friend left, I got the suitcase out of the closet and I opened it up because I had to look, because I was curious, and it turned out to be a suitcase full of cash. One can only imagine why that was in existence and why my friend wanted me to hold on to it for a couple of days. We won't go there. However, I realized that I had not been specific enough in my requests and my lovemaking with the cosmos, that I should have said, instead of I just want a pile of cash to fall in my lap, that it should be, I would like to earn a bunch of money and be abundant so that I can use it for my art projects and to live my life, as opposed to, anything that would not be accessible to me or that I could not actually use for my life in abundance. So it was kind of like a little ha-ha wink from the cosmos, be more specific in the way that you're doing this. But also I want you all to think that it's not like you're going to be bitch slapped by the cosmos. It's not like anyone, I don't know if you ever had an art teacher like that who was like, I laugh at your efforts. It's not like that at all. It's more like, I applaud your efforts. I'm happy that you are trying. This is all about being empowered to create the life that we wish to create. And of course, it's like being a violin virtuoso. You hit some sour notes. So I hit some sour notes that I definitely learned from what I was doing. So blah, blah, blah. These two things are built according to the cellular structure of our cells, our physical body, which collect and form according to these 60-degree angles and equilateral triangles. And I'll also show you pictures of carbon. Time to get to pictures of carbon. Squinting and scrolling. They're here. Okay. I got a couple of pictures actually to show you. I got a couple of things. Boom, boom, boom. So our world, scratch that. Let me begin again. Our physical body and many of the structures of our physical world are based on these hexagonal shapes. Here's the hexagon. Hexagon means 6-sided, because you can just remember it. Hex sounds a lot like 6. So this is a carbon atom, and these are carbon atoms too. Carbon atoms can be arranged in various different ways. If you arrange them in one way, it's coal. That's just like throwing it all together in a bag, mushing it all together. You do that with a bunch of hexagonal flat carbon atoms and you have coal, which is smeary and dark. And if you put them together into these flat plates like this over here, that's graphite. And graphite's what we use in the middle of our pencil in order to make beautiful paintings, or beautiful drawings for beautiful paintings. And it's slippery and it's dark. And it's slippery because the little flat hexagons slip against one another. And then if you take those flat hexagons and you add an additional dimension, you add an additional degree of freedom to them, they pop forth into the next dimension and they become this shape over here, which is the diamond shape. Wait, if you arrange enough of these carbon atoms that are arranged like that, then you end up getting this substance over here. We go from a black, smeary, and kind of slippery substance to a clear or brilliant substance that is incredibly hard. And what we haven't changed the carbon atom on a basic level, but what we have done is changed the arrangement of the molecules like puzzle pieces. We have rearranged the puzzle pieces. Your body is made up of a whole lot of carbon, and it's just one aspect of you. What we are doing right now is using perception to rearrange the puzzle pieces of your body into a new format. And the new format is this diamond, indestructible body. Let me go on to the next picture, because I got pictures. This is 3 screenshots taken from a YouTube video. Here you can see this kind of, making a mark here, this kind of do it flat plane, you know, these flat hexagonal molecules that are just like those graphite molecules. Now let me switch to the next picture. Now you can see these flat graphite molecules are starting to get another dimension. When I say that, they become ridged like ridgy potatoes. It's like taking a flat piece of paper and folding it up so that it now has ridges on it, and you can use it like a fan to fan yourself. And then after the process of, let me see if I brought that other picture. I'm talking too much. It's just go. Yeah, and here's the final, and then get a color you can actually see, the final formation. This is what happens when you transform into a diamond. You made these flat things now have like a, ridged shape, like a fan or a ridgy potato chip. And then we connect, this is another dimension. This is another dimension. This is another dimension. So we have added another dimension in order to achieve a different molecular state and shape. And the adding of another dimension is a question and a process of your perception. Just like, go to the whiteboard and draw this again. Get a color we can see. Okay. Just like perspective, with your perception, you add an additional dimension to this flat. Oh yes, very good. I'll get to that comment. I saw that that was very good. To this flat image over here. Like what I'm drawing, I mean, it's like a stick figure. It's not even a real rendered image. But with your system of interpretation, you know what I'm looking at. This, let's just say this is different than the indigenous Aboriginal beings of Australia, and they might make a dot painting where they've got all these different dots around here like this, and that is not according to perspective. That is more like a top-down view, or sometimes it's a map of time where it's like first this thing happened, then this thing happened, then this thing happened. That's a totally different system of interpretation. One is not better than the other. What I'm trying to say is when we do this with perspective, you guys all know I'm drawing on a flat screen, but you're interpreting it with your mind and perception and everything else that you got inside of you as if it's a realm that you can dive into, okay? That act of reinterpreting reality, you are the master adding an additional dimension. You are using your paintbrush of your mind to add an additional dimension to what you're looking at. So the way that we transform from this carbon-based, sorry, not carbon-based, from this, the molecule of carbon that is shaped like hexagons into the diamond body, or who we are when we transcend these limitations, the octagonal meaning 8. And this shape is the 8-lobed shape. We identify with and embody our time body, moving from a matrix or a pattern making system that is based in 6s to a matrix or a pattern making system that is based in 8s. This is the journey that we're doing right now. And right now does not mean like next month or something like that. It means right now. So we are doing this in response to the energies that are coming to our planet, our solar system, that are now at large everywhere. We are experiencing this transformational process. So this is how the transformational process happens. I put down some of my things so that we can see this a little bit better. We take, it's the same sides, the same number of sides, but we're going to rearrange the puzzle pieces. So we take, putting one down, this guy here, if I take this bottom and kind of swirl it out, here we go. Okay. Do this in the right way. Sorry guys, I know I'm fiddling with things on camera. Take this bottom part over here and kind of swirl it out and open up this so that it now creates this shape. And this shape is a different type of pyramid. This is not a tetrahedron. This is the type of pyramid that is the Great Pyramid at Giza. And one of the magical things that happens when we transform into this pyramid, which has a square bottom, is that this angle up at the top becomes a 90-degree angle. Whereas in the past, you remember I told you each one of these angles in the interior of this equilateral triangle was a 60-degree angle. We rearrange the puzzle pieces and we get a new angle. And that means we have rearranged reality. We have more variables. We have more colors in our palette, in our paint box, more things that we can do. And we do that with one of them, and we do the same thing with the other. I will less painfully rearrange it down here so that I don't have to fiddle on camera so much. I know, I'm doing it, it's getting there. Almost there, almost there. I know this is so hard to do. I practice. All right, it's not quite there yet. Boom. Oh, I think I got it. And then I'm gonna draw it for you too. It's very hard to hold this all together. Now we have, look, this one has a square bottom, this one has a square bottom, and the two square bottoms go edge to edge like that. And this is called an octahedron. And we've done nothing more than rearrange the same elements of the recipe, but into a new format. And doing that is basically how you jump into the next highest dimension. So, and all of this is also like saying like, oh, in order to play the piano, all you do is you just move your fingers like this across the keyboard. Like clearly there's a lot more going on like this. I'm going to get to questions, but I want to show you more pictures. Hold on a minute. Because, let me show you, like, okay. You can tell my brain is going so fast, I can't even get it to my mouth. All of these, when I show you pictures of yourself like this, when I show you pictures of yourself that are like this, you can see that you're made all out of circular shapes. Like here are a bunch of circles, a bunch of circles, a bunch of circles. And that's why all of my paintings are made out of circles. But remember, this plus this equals this straight line. I don't know if you can see that with the red. Let me do a different color, dark blue. This up plus this down equals this line here, okay? This is also, you can see all made of circles, all made of circles. Now I'm going to get a different picture. Oops, yeah. Okay, this one and this one, good. So these guys, this is what I was showing you before. So I'm going to highlight in red. Here's one straight edge, another one, another one, another one. And I can't always get down to the bottom margin in order to draw effectively, but you can see that there's one down there too. Okay, so that's one aspect of this painting. And now in a different color, hope you can see this okay, going to highlight, this is that chakra shape or toroidal energy center shape. And what I'm showing you here is the integration of the circular energy pattern movements with this formation that is made out of straight lines. So the star tetrahedron, the aspects of it that are made of straight lines are very effective because these are like, I want to say like plates, like here, grab a great color. This is like, it's like a mirror where if energy is coming to this shape, it hits this and it bounces off like that. So there's a value to having these straight shapes. I haven't used them that much in my artwork. Doesn't mean that I don't use them in my personal practice. And what I'm showing with this painting is there's an integration between your chakra system, holding up my little yellow sculpture that is shaped like a bunch of circles like this, and this straight-sided star tetrahedron shape that is shaped like this. So what you have here is, this is one star tetrahedron shape. And of course, this would come forward like this, right? This, yeah, you're seeing all the lines that were in there. I didn't draw all the lines in the drawing, in the painting. But that's only half of the chakra system, because remember when I hold this up, that we've got one torus that is at this angle, we call it arbitrarily horizontal, but we've got one that is at the vertical angle, and I don't even have that one in this painting. So I'll show you now the painting that is like the twin, that was the second version. So this one has two overlapping star tetrahedra. And if I draw it out for you, okay, let's see if I can get my pen to work. Here's one, the same one that I did before. And then here's the other one. There's one that goes like this and one that goes like this. Okay, you're getting it. And then we have in a different color in the middle here. This is that four-lobed shape. Motorcycle outside of my house. Okay. So that four-lobed shape is the front cross section of this orange sculpture. And now you're seeing that these two, it's like two patterns of music with maybe two different time signatures. One is curvilinear, one is straight-sided. Now you're seeing that these two time signatures of different types of music are fitting together, and the real artistry, the real virtuosity is being able to make that music sound good. Like if you took a mashup of some classical music from Bach and mixed in some of modern day Beastie Boys, and the real artistry would be to make sure that those two different types of notes fit together perfectly. What we're trying to do here is fit together the physical structure of your cellular body that is based on hexagons that are shaped like your carbon molecules that are shaped like hexagons, and your non-physical body that is shaped like an octagon that is based in eights. So now there's lots of questions, and also, oh, hold on a second, I gotta plug in my thing. I'm so sorry I'm ducking off camera. If I don't plug in, I will lose all of my energy charge over here. Apologies, I should have done that before. And I need to check my time. Doing good on my time. And now let me get to questions about this and comments. Okay. Okay, Joel has asked me, have I heard of the work of Drunvalo called Awakening the Illumined Heart? I have a friend who does workshops about turning on the merkaba through a process of joining the third eye with the vortex of the heart. What do I think about this? So, okay, I don't know that much about Drunvalo's current work. And, you know, I always say, like, proceed with caution, yellow caution flags. I don't vouch for anybody, their personal life or who they are or anything like that. I found Drunvalo's first two books, The Ancient Secret of the Flower of Life, to be worthwhile. And they came out like in the 1980s, that he was the first person that shared the information about this flat flower of life shape. Just sharing that, it would be like saying, oh, hey, the ancient people once had something called a piano. Like that is good to share. But however, we need to have more of a deeper understanding. Drinking water. With all of this inner transformation and using it as a tool for changing your body and going into a different dimension. It's not for hacks, like not good musicians, what I mean. You got to be a good musician to do this. It's not for someone who's like clunky or inept in any way. So all of this means, you know, you take someone else's music, they inspire you, and you take it and internalize it and turn it into your own music. So I would encourage people to, you know, be inspired by the work of other people that have done, and then take it in its own, in the real direction. So this is about transforming the physical matter of your body into a higher dimensional state. So I see your little guy there. Hello. You're never too young to transform into a higher dimensional state. That's awesome. Hi, little guy. We see you. The idea is that, like, in order to stay alive right now on this planet, we need to conform to this music that is the music of the symphony of life. And we do that by being good musicians, making the cells of our body intertwine effectively with the time field. And I always point to these paintings because these are paintings of the time field. So the merkaba is one way that we begin to do that. It's one way that we begin to do mastery and virtuosity. So in level 2, I'm going to tell you more extensively about how I do the flying rainbow lasagna dance. But basically, that's one of the first things that I do when I get going on my dance. You know, I've done my sun gazing, and I got to eat breakfast first too. I can't do the flying rainbow lasagna on an empty stomach. I need physical energy for my body, and I need to do sun gazing for my non-physical body. And then the first thing that I do is I do my merkaba. And I wanted to remind myself to say, I also do my merkaba throughout the day if I feel that I'm being energetically attacked anyway. Like sometimes I don't know what other people's symptoms are like, and we just remove the chat so I can see everything better. But sometimes I feel like, you know, like an eye twitch, like your eye starts twitching, or like your tummy starts twitching, like you feel these little flutters. It's like when you hear someone trying to jimmy the lock on your house, and you don't just have to sit there and be like, oh, look, a burglar is breaking in. merkaba. Merkaba, that's like saying, oh, I'm actually protected with, you know, a burglar alarm. That's called an energy field that you're not allowed to get through. And this is part of what I'm talking about when I say encrypt your DNA, because our DNA has been hacked, has been illegally accessed by beings who should not be allowed to access it. And those same beings have suppressed and hidden the information of what exactly the merkaba is. And those same beings have made many people mistrustful when you actually find an effective solution. They're like, oh, no, 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 don't trust it, don't listen, don't do it, don't do it. But it's like, clearly this is something that actually is effective and actually works. And it's also something that you have to practice. So yes, I mean, I get it targeted and attacked like many other people do. And, you know, I do my merkaba as one aspect of self-protection. So it's a very crucial and important, it's like a basic repertoire, a basic movement that should be in all of our energetic repertoires. Oh, thank you, Gina. It's lovely to see you too. She was just expressing her joy at being here in the class. Okay, talked about which direction things spin. Okay, so this was very interesting. Joelle was saying that the pencil is like the graphite structure of carbon is like a toroid, and the diamond is like the FRL. That is exactly on track. Yes, that when we are in this dimensional state, and there's nothing wrong with this. Like, I like having carbon and graphite that goes in the center of my pencil, but that's not the end of the journey. That's one stage of our journey. And I've been saying over and over how we're birth of a new dimension. We're giving birth to a new state of matter. And that matter has at its root word mother, meaning it's the womb from which we emerge. It's where we come from, but we don't have to be stuck in the realm of matter. What we can do is add an additional degree of freedom, and that allows us to pop forward into the realm of pure time. And time, it doesn't necessarily mean that we'll stop needing food or stop metabolizing, but we will metabolize time. That's the whole idea. This time field over here, it's not a dead, static object. It's living and it's dynamic, and it needs consciousness and characteristics and experiences in order to continue to be dynamic and thrive. Okay, there's a good question coming up here. Let me make sure I'm getting everybody. So Joelle is saying, can you explain more about what it means to be intertwined properly with the time field? Yes, absolutely. So in order to, science says, in order to stay alive, all you need to do is make sure that your cells get enough oxygen. Hi, I see another beautiful person tuning in over there. Hello and welcome. You know, we need a lot more than just oxygen. Just like in order to raise someone from being a child, you need to give them more than just like food and water. They also need love and intellectual stimulation and guidance, and we all need spiritual nourishment. Like in order for us to go through the time field and not hit that membrane of death, we need a lot more than food and water. That is like the old objective materialist viewpoint. And that's why the old objective materialist viewpoint says, oh, you need food and water, sell your time to an overlord. I was thinking about this today, that if I said to people, hey, let's think of time as like a road, and you're driving down the road and you're supposed to be going towards, this is your destination here. So you're like on this road over here. But let's say some boss comes along and he says, all I want you to do is drive 80 miles towards your own death. And then at the end of the day, then you can go back to being in the right timeline. And it's like, okay, great. Like, you're going to do that so that you can earn $10 an hour. You're going to drive 80 miles closer to the membrane of death. This is what humans do for quote unquote work and sustenance. That is what causes cellular aging and death, is being encouraged and enticed by money to go from driving on the right path that you're supposed to be on to driving on a path that you're not supposed to be on. Very few people would be like, go on digging a ditch, or being a coal miner, or working on an oil rig platform just as a hobby if no one paid them. Like, some people actually do gardening or fishing or sewing dresses for fun because nobody pays them, but very few people work on an oil rig just for the fun of it. So people get paid in order to do things that they wouldn't ordinarily do. And even if you like to sew dresses, sewing one dress a week is great, but what if they made you sew rather 100 dresses a day in order to get your money? That would be going towards the membrane of death instead of driving on the highway that you're supposed to be on. And this is this whole idea that it's somehow pro-survival to sell your time and drive in literally the wrong direction as opposed to going in the right direction, because you don't get rewarded like a good dog and a pat on the head and you know, sitting in your comfortable bed with your large salary at night by going against this system that wants to control your behavior. And let me just drink a little bit more water. I mean, this is about being able to write one's own story and make one's own choices about flying through time. I'm just checking to see what the comments are. So, okay, so being entwined properly with the time field would mean that each thought and activity and cellular aspect of metabolism is the right one. And when I say cellular aspect of metabolism, I'm talking about what we eat and drink. That's really important. You can say, you can wake up in the morning and have 1,000 different choices of what exactly you're going to eat and drink. And some things will take you closer to immortality, and some things will take you closer to the membrane of death. Not all nutrients are equal. First of all, not all physical matter is food. Not all foods are equal to all bodies, you know? So if you're not a meat eater and you wake up in the morning and someone feeds you a giant pile of meat, it's like, oh, now you're driving this much closer to the membrane of death, or whatever. Like, I'm not supposed to have caffeine. If you gave me a bunch of caffeine, it'd be like, here, this is your breakfast, go closer to the membrane of death. So that's part of it. The basic food choices. It's not just like, oh, you give the body food and water and it stays alive. No, we are much, much more than just cells that are meant to metabolize and stay alive. Our cells have to eat the right food, and not only the right food at the right time. So now imagine what our lives would be like if we actually lived at that level of being a virtuoso. Not just like, oh, here's slop on a plate. It's not like, eat your slop on a plate. What if it's like, no, you're supposed to eat these specific molecules at this specific time, so that way your body has that specific energy, and then you're supposed to go and do a specific thing, like ballerina has to eat a hamburger so that they can do these high, twirls and jumps. Like, you're supposed to eat your food and then do stuff with that energy, metabolize it in the right way. We're not separate from the time field, we're part of it. So food, energy, ideas come inside of me and they metabolize inside of me, and then I send that energy out. I send it out in thought form to you guys. Hello, another beautiful person has shown up. I see your whole family. I love that. I think that's wonderful. Sending out energy to all these other people, and then having that energy reflected back to me. It's meant to be like a trapeze. You swing to one person, the next person swings on over, and the next person swings on over. You're all connected in this way. So what has happened is we have been placed in this disorganized, arbitrary world where it's like, it doesn't matter what food you eat. It doesn't matter what activities you do. It doesn't matter. It's like all the artistry and virtuosity has been taken out of what we do with our time. I love the work of Jose Arguelles. Like, if you ask me, like, who should I look into? Jose Arguelles. I feel he is a person who had a great deal of integrity, and he spoke about how time is art, and the idea of selling your time for money is beyond barbaric, it's beyond anti-life, and that basically, he promoted an idea of healing the time field that had to do with changing our perception of calendars and changing our whole relationship to time. And to me, this is also what this is about. This is transforming our relationship with time and our sense of being in partnership with the events that we are having and that we are creating. I made a chocolate bar one time. This was around that same time when I was just starting to experiment with using my merkaba. And I was in my merkaba and I was thinking about a chocolate bar. And then literally I went out for a walk and I went to the local coffee shop, and I saw that chocolate bar there, and it even had these patterns, these 4-lobed shapes printed on the wrapper. And I was like, that was my idea. And now I just saw it. So, and all of that, this is not narcissism or egotism or anything like society might knock you for having these thoughts that are not objective materialist. These are appropriate thoughts. This is basically like saying, oh, wait, I played music and then I heard the melody that I actually played. We're supposed to be, this life is supposed to be a joy, where it's like, oh, I do this and this happens. So then I'm going to do this, and then this is going to happen, and then I'll do this, and then this is going to happen. Tech said they made avocado ice cream. I am so completely impressed by that. Like, that was that anecdote that I shared another time that, years ago, I had this idea of how awesome avocado ice cream would be, but not having a ice cream maker or ice cream factory or anything like that. That idea flowed through the human mycelium and went to someone else, and they actually made it into, something that can be eaten. This is the whole idea. We are all intertwined and interconnected on that level. You might have an imagination of a dress that you want to wear, and someone who is an actual dressmaker gets that idea, makes the dress, and then this is that partnership of trapeze swinging to here and then the trapeze swinging to here. So imagine if you don't make that dress because it's not commodified. It's like, oh, I have to have a boss telling me to make that dress. I don't just make a dress because I'm inspired to make a dress. And that's the whole point, is that because mostly people's motivations have been controlled by their direct supervisors, you know, their bosses, the people that pay them, and they'll be like, yeah, I want you to make a red dress. I want you to make a purple dress. I don't want you to just make the dress that your imagination tells you to make. And your imagination is not telling you to make it from some arbitrary reason. Your imagination is actually telling you to make that dress for a very specific reason, that there are specific things we're supposed to be doing each day with our time. And when we sell our time to perform random arbitrary tasks, like whatever, you know, working in a factory and going like this 72,000 times a day, that is not being effectively intertwined with the time field. That's not being part of this living embroidery. That is being part of crappy music. I'm not at my piano. If I were, I would smash the keyboard and make crappy music and say that's what our human society is right now. And I'd like to contrast this, because I started out by saying the star tetrahedron is all about, you know, what we did things in the antediluvian worldwide sophisticated realm. That was a sophisticated culture, where, you know, everybody did, it's like a musician. Each moment of your day was devoted to your artistry. There's no idea that you would spend any time of your day selling your time in order to do something that is not the right thing for you to do, just so that you can somehow survive or stay alive. So all of that thinking is aberrant, I'm just checking my time, and inappropriate. So let me, if there are there any more questions on level 1? I'm going to continue this into level 2 and go further. So, but if there's any questions for this aspect of the recording, I don't want to make it too long, but let me get it in on this part of the recording. If not, then I'll just say, thank you for everyone who's tuning in. Encourage people to enroll and to become patrons, because that really does help me to be able to continue doing this work. So, and tune in for level 2. Thank you very much.